Hey Trojans, welcome back to another episode of Trojan TV. I'm Ethan.
And I'm Cam. To start this episode off, we are going to be covering girls basketball, a new classroom spotlight, a look behind the scenes at the making and calling of snow days, and are getting a preview from the Moms on a Mission presentations to the 8th grade advisories.
You know what I just realized? This week has been the first full week of school in I don't know how long.
That's why it felt so long.
I know, but luckily we survived the week just fine. At least I did.
I just barely made it through.
Well then, why don't we get on with the show so we can head right into the weekend?
This episode of Trojan TV is sponsored by Susan Rouser State Farm Insurance, helping life go right. Treyland Autoglass, Northern Michigan's autoglass professionals. Cool Doors, dedicated to creating custom-led inserts for the home. Whitewater Contracting, the siding specialists. Tandem Wealth Management, moving forward together. And Goodwill Northern Michigan, supporting families and youth experiencing homelessness and food insecurity.
To start off our show, let's head over to the sports desk with Annie and Jordy and get a little more intel on the return to scholastic contact sports.
Thanks, Cam and Ethan. Since Governor Whitmer just recently reinstated contact sports, girls basketball has not taken a break, jumping right into their season.
They had evaluations the first week of contact sports being lifted. McKeely and Annie spoke with Coach McGee and some of the girls on their thoughts about basketball finally returning.
One of students' favorite activities is getting on the court or field and playing their hearts out in a sport they love. So when COVID happened and sports grinded to a halt, a lot of kids struggled to find a way to relieve their stress. In fact, a team of researchers from UW Health found 68% of students athletes reported of feeling depression or anxiety due to COVID-19. But this past week, there is light at the end of the tunnel for Michigan student athletes when Governor Whitmer decided to reinstate contact sports. Coach McGee and some of the girls excitedly talked to us about their thoughts on the order and it being lifted.
I was really excited about that because then we could actually have like a basketball season instead of just doing training camps. And I don't really mind having to wear a mask or like social distance when we can and stuff because I still get to play.
Last 2 weeks, because we were on a delay, we had to have 6 feet at all times. We ran some clinics for the girls, some skills and drills clinics, and that was good. Today, or this week, we got started, yes.
A big agreement to reinstating contact sports is the promise to keep everyone safe. Basketball is an especially difficult sport because you are sharing a ball and you are so close to one another.
Everything's safe. So we're practicing COVID things. The MHSAA, that's the Michigan High School Athletic Association, has given us guidelines. We are practicing social distancing as much as we can. We are wearing masks in practices, in games. When we're sitting on the bench in the game, we're going to be socially distanced. We're not going to be a crowded bench. We wipe the balls down. When we put balls away, they get a wipe. They get disinfected, boom, put away. So we have this whole protocol. I did it with the boys. It helped, and we're just trying to keep the spread of the disease down.
Wearing a mask really isn't that bad unless you're like doing like full-on sprints, which we usually don't do, so.
The biggest downfall to the executive order was that everything was pushed back a couple of weeks, and there were also concerns with players wearing masks. But to ensure that everyone follows the rules, if you are found with your mask down, you could be benched or even cut from the team.
This week's our evaluation week, and I believe I heard a rumor we might even start a game next week, which would be like bang bang. We might have 2 practices in a game or a practice in a game, and then we'll play. I'm not sure if we're going to have a tournament. We're going to have fewer games than we normally do because we have a shortened season because we've already pushed back. We still have spring sports and things like that to get into. We're playing. That's the important thing. We get to play ball.
This has been Annie and McKeely reporting for Trojan TV. After just a 3-day break from evaluations, the girls had their teams all set up and ready to play. Having only 2 practices, the girls' black team kicked off their season playing against St. Francis last Wednesday.
That's right. The girls' 7th grade team won in a tight 20-19 nail-biter, while the 8th grade pulled away early and never let up, crushing the Gladiator ladies 37-17.
Next, the girls played again this week on both Monday and Wednesday. On Monday, the 8th grade black team played West at West and they won 41-22. Then on Wednesday, they played at home against the 7th grade black team. The 7th graders started off strong, taking the lead, but soon the 8th graders stole the lead and never gave it back, ending the game 20-41.
The 7th grade white team played the 6th grade white team on Wednesday as well. The 6th graders tried to hold on, but the 7th graders were too much and they won 46-13. The 7th graders pulled off an amazing three-pointer to end off the night right with only 11 seconds left.
And that wraps it up for this week's sports update. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Thanks, guys. You can tell our Trojan athletes are excited to be back.
Agreed. So lately it has snowed a ton, and that has been really helpful for outdoor winter activities and the chance at getting a snow day. I'm so glad that the rumor of snow days being virtual this year is false.
So am I. I was so happy when we had our first snow day this year. I have been waiting a long time for that.
Yeah, it's really the best feeling ever to wake up and find out that you can go back to bed and get some extra sleep.
I know. There's just something different and special about a snow day. But Cam, can you guess who decides if we have a snow day or not?
Isn't it the janitors?
The janitors? I thought you would say it was the superintendent. Actually, it's really the job of a small group of folks from the transportation department who go around town and decide if it should be a snow day or not. Jordy and I went to investigate this interesting mythbuster. Believe it or not, lots of people don't know how snow days are decided. Some think it's the superintendent. Others think it's someone on the TCAP's board. But it's actually a special group of people in the transportation department. We caught up with Tyson Birch to get more information about snow days.
Once you get used to it, in the transportation department, we are early risers anyway. So I'm normally at work between 4 and 5 every morning in the morning. So to get up a couple hours early really isn't that big of a deal.
Bus service is provided to approximately 70% of TCAP students. Routes include more than 3,000 bus stops in a 300 square mile area, and drivers travel more than 7,000 miles per day. As a result, making sure the roads are safe to travel is a major priority.
It's pretty difficult because you have such a large bus, and you really have to watch out for the other drivers because you have to keep your speeds down.
Winter causes many issues for drivers. Snow, wind, ice, and darkness can all make winter driving a challenge, but that's just with regular cars. Imagine driving a bus with 50 students who also need to be monitored.
Well, it's a accumulation of everything. So to start with, negative 19, even with the wind chill, is our drop dead that we should not be open. But that is all up to the superintendent. He could call it with less temperature.
The district uses routing software and their knowledge of the roads that tend to get bad when weather hits to determine whether school will close or not.
And we make routes for our road checkers because over time you know what the bad roads are. If you have a westerly wind or something, so we drive them down the exact same routes every time.
You might think driving around in a snowstorm at 3 in the morning sounds really exciting, but Bert says it's usually pretty quiet.
It's really not that interesting at 3 to 4 o'clock in the morning. We have pulled out people. I have been stuck myself a couple times. Those are normally days that we have not had school in the long run, but it's really not that exciting. You don't see many people except for the actual snow plowers.
The transportation department tries to make the call by 4:30 a.m. if possible, and by 6 a.m. at the latest when determining a snow day. This has been Ethan and Jordy reporting for Trojan TV.
I really thought that it was the janitor's job. I guess this myth has officially been busted.
Yes, it has. And don't forget, you can get snow day alerts on your phone by sending the word yes to 87569 and making sure your phone number is on file with the school. Now, it's time to cover something a little more serious. Moms on a Mission are coming to teach 8th graders about the importance of substance abuse and to share some of their very own experiences with having lost a child due to the opioid epidemic.
Starting this Friday, in each 8th grade advisory, students will meet with the moms and a young adult in recovery. 8th graders, you can check with your advisory teacher to find out when your meeting is scheduled. Peyton, Grant, and Carson met with the Moms on a Mission to give the 8th graders an idea on what they will be learning about and why they feel so passionate about sharing this important message.
My goal is to get people's attention and to let them know that everybody is affected, not only just the addicts, but the people around them. I think that they don't think they apply to them. I think that is one of those things that it only happens to other people. And it's a scary thought that what are you going to be doing in 3 years from now? And if you would have asked Alex that, he would have said, well, I won't be doing drugs, that's for sure.
I'm happy that the documentary opened up an opportunity for us not to just do presentations with the documentary, but to be able to have the door open up again for us to come back to East Middle School and continue coming in, partnering with someone from recovery and speaking to the students after they've seen the documentary. That's what we're working on when we all meet together, is how we can do this virtual, but really have the ability to have the students engage.
Alex struggled, started young as a freshman going into his freshman year of hockey, and it was completely peer pressure that got to him. He caved. And he thought it was innocent because it was just a few prescription pills, and that led him into a life of chasing something that he didn't want. He didn't, at your age, would have said to him, and he thought it was innocent because it was just a few prescription pills, and that led him into a life of chasing something that he didn't want. He didn't, at your age, would have said to himself, I'm going to grow up to be a heroin addict. That wasn't in his vocabulary even then, much less his thoughts.
My daughter Dana was very involved in school. She loved drama. She was in the plays at East Junior High, on the debate team. She was in choir. She loved to be on stage. She had a tremendous amount of friends. She had a very outgoing personality, but Dana also struggled with depression. And when she was prescribed an opiate, when she had kidney stones, she liked how it made her feel, because it made her feel better emotionally. It wasn't really helping with the pain. And so it didn't take long for her to become addicted to prescription opiates.
They're so brave and inspiring to come in and take their time to share their stories and to give our 8th graders some important information about substance abuse.
You can find more about the Moms on a Mission by heading to our website, The Link, and checking our special covered section on opioids.
Now, it's time for this week's Classroom Spotlight, where Nate and Caleb caught up with Mr. Adair in the video animation classes.
Transforming it into a living, thinking character is slow but satisfying.
In this week's Classroom Spotlight, we're taking a look at Mr. Adair's class, where the students are learning the 12 principles of animation.
Animation's a class here at East that gives an opportunity for the students to be creative, work in 3D design, character building, and to give them a sense of accomplishment on starting from an idea and watching it become a final product.
I took animation. I thought it would be an interesting opportunity just to learn more about different styles of art and just give me an inspiration for my day-to-day life.
I took this class because I really got into animation and I really wanted to learn how to animate 3D models.
This class has taught me patience, because when you're taking the photos to show timing, you really have to be careful on when you take it.
This class has taught me how to keyframe and how to frame my work and how to keep motion as smooth as possible.
After the presentation, the students are off to work on their own animation creations.
Right now we're learning stop motion animation with clay, so what we're doing is making clay figurines to show the 12 principles in animation.
The current project is the claymation project, where we have to show 12 principles of animation, squash and stretch, timing, and all of those sort of stuff. We're working with clay, really flexible, and it's really easy to manipulate into the 12 different principles.
I would recommend taking animation. Unfortunately, there's not a class for animation in high school, but there's tons of online animations classes you can take, so I recommend it.
It's not that tough to animate after you learn how to do each principle, because it gets progressively easier.
So the class is a great class that inspires the students to really reach for their potential that they're not even sure that they have, right? So it's giving them that confidence to follow through with a struggle and become successful. I think that's the importance of this class and what it can do for the students.
This has been Caleb and Nate reporting for Trojan TV.
Thanks, guys. That was like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it almost makes you want to do some animation instead of using your phone.
That's not a bad idea. Well, that wraps up this episode of Trojan TV.
Don't forget to check out more DMC and newspaper coverage on our website, The Link, and make sure to follow us on Instagram @EastDMC.
Have a great weekend, Trojans. Bye!